Hello and welcome back to Sci-Fi Tech. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a very unique LED light device with using natural materials, such as using a wooden log and birch bark. And I'm also going to show you how to make a very simple circuit with using both 9-volt batteries and a power supply. Let's get started. And these are the items you're going to need to make for this project. The items you're going to need: a piece of birch bark, a wooden log, burlap rope, 2 9-volt batteries, 2 9-volt battery clips that need to be modified, a buck converter, a 12-volt LED strand, with a DC input jack, which will be powered by this 12-volt power supply. You're also going to need a slide switch, some wires, and some cardboard tubes. Now let's go ahead and assemble this project and let's get started. First, I'm going to take these 2 9-volt battery clips, flip them over, and then solder tin them. And there we go, they are now solder tinned. Next, what I need to do is connect the positive and negative together. And I'm going to use this wire to connect the 2 parts together. Solder it into place. And there we go, those 2 parts are now connected. Next, I'm going to take these 2 wires and connect them to the positive and negative terminals. Take this black wire, which will connect to the negative terminal. Solder it into place. And I'll take this second wire, which will connect to the positive terminal. Solder it into place. Next, I'm going to take this buck converter and I want to connect these 9-volt battery clips to the input of the buck converter. And then the output will connect to the LEDs. Negative to negative, positive to positive. Solder in the negative, and now solder in the positive. Add a little bit more solder so it stays in more secure. Next, I'm going to take a multimeter and measure the output voltage of the buck converter, and as you can see, it's about 9.6 volts. And what I need to do is adjust the buck converter to an output voltage of 12 volts. Off camera, I adjusted it because it was too difficult to film on camera. So now let's see what the output voltage looks like. And there, as you can see, it is 12 volts. Perfect. Next, I'm going to take a slide switch and attach it to the circuit. Simply cut the positive wire, remove the insulation, solder tin it, and solder it to the slide switch. And there, this part of the circuit is now complete. I have right here this wooden log, and next what I need to do is take this cardboard tube that I'm going to place on top of the log where the LEDs are going to be. I'm going to place one right here, here, and here. So I'm going to start with this one here first. And what I need to do is take a permanent marker and make a mark all the way around this cardboard tube, so that way I have an idea of where to place the LEDs. And now repeat the same process with the one in the middle and the third one. And right here you can see the marks are now visible, so now I have an idea of where to place the LEDs. This one right here is the input one, and I'm going to put 3 LEDs placed right here. Then I'm going to cut it, extend it over here by wires, input 3, and then cut the third one over here with 3 LEDs. Next, what I'm going to do is solder tin all of the leads, so that way I can solder the wires easier. And there we go, all of the leads are now solder tinned. And now cut in between the solder tin portion, so that way I have 3 LEDs per strand. Take the first one, remove the tape. So I need to remove it so that way the hot glue can stick to it better. Next, I'm going to take some hot glue and place it right here in the center of the circle. And then take the LED strand and place it into the hot glue. And now wait for it to solidify. And now repeat the same process 2 more times. And there, all 3 LEDs are now ready. Next, what I'm going to do is take some hot glue and glue down this input wire so that way it will not move. Next, I'm going to take these 2 wires so that way I can connect the 2 strands together. Connect the positive to positive, the negative to negative. And there, as you can see, all 3 strands are now connected. And as you can see, this part here is the DC input connection, where I'm going to take the 12-volt power supply and connect it onto this end. And over here on the opposite end, that's going to connect to the buck converter with the 2 9-volt batteries. So this way, one side is for the batteries and the opposite side is for the power supply. And this is how the circuit's going to work with 2 input options. And I'll take a positive and negative wire and solder it to the end of the LEDs. And now take the positive and negative wire and place it onto the positive and negative output of the buck converter. Solder it into place. And there, the circuit is now complete. Now I can be able to power these LEDs with batteries. Next, make a slight modification of the 2 9-volt battery connections. Bend them over. Place some hot glue inside so that way I can stick them together and to keep them insulated, and also at the same time to glue them into place. Connect the 2 9-volt batteries together, and there, that part of the circuit is now complete. Place some more hot glue so it keeps it more insulated and to glue it into place. And now take the slide switch and glue it into place. And now take the buck converter and glue it into place. And there, everything is glued into place. Now let's go make a quick test. Turn on the switch. And there, the LEDs turn on. And there, as you can see, the battery method works. Now let's try the 12-volt power supply connection. And now plug it in. And there, as you can see, the LEDs work. There, now I have the 2 options at work. A very useful feature of this circuit is that I can turn the battery circuit on, and I can simply unplug the power supply, and look, the LEDs stay on. So if somehow I lose power or disconnect it and I want to make this portable, the LEDs will stay on uninterrupted. Of course, for as long as the batteries still work. Next, what I need to do is modify these cardboard tubes. And I thought about a design by cutting them in an angle at different lengths, which will allow me to have a unique pattern. I'm going to take a permanent marker and make a mark so that way I have an idea of how I want to cut these. Next, I'm going to take a X-Acto knife and cut out my design. Next, what I'm going to do is take this birch bark, place it right here, and then take the smaller tube and place it inside. Looking at the size, this will fit perfectly for the birch bark to cover it completely. As you can see, I cut the birch bark perfectly straight, so that way I can take some hot glue and glue the cardboard tube to it. Roll it over, smash the glue in, wait for it to solidify, and now add more glue. Take the cardboard tube and roll it over it. Add some more hot glue. And continue the same process all the way through. Next, what I need to do is cut off the excess birch bark. Tuck in the seams and add more hot glue inside the seams. And there we go. Tuck in the seams with the hot glue. Hold it in place so that way it will stay in place. And as you can see, the cardboard tube is now covered with the birch bark, and it looks very good. Next, what I need to do is remove the excess birch bark following the same pattern as the cardboard tube. And now repeat the same process with the rest of the tubes. And there, all 3 tubes are now covered in birch bark. Next, what I need to do is I'm going to take some white paint and a paintbrush, and I'm going to paint the inside of the tube. The reason for that is so that way the LED light that's in the inside of the tubes will allow it to shine even brighter. Take some paint and gently paint the inside of the tubes. And there, the inside of the tube is now painted. Comparing the tube with the white paint and the tube that is not painted, you can see with the ambient light, it actually looks a lot brighter inside. There's already a little bit of difference. And I'll repeat the same process 2 more times. And there, all 3 tubes are now painted. Next, I'm going to take the scissors and cut off some of the excess birch bark so that way it can allow the tube to fit perfectly onto the log. Carefully cut off some of the excess birch bark. As you can see, this part fits. I'm going to need to do more modification onto this part. There we go. As you can see, it's a perfect fit. Very nice. Next, I'm going to take a permanent marker and place a mark onto the tube and onto the log. Doing this will be a reference point to allow me to place the tube back in the exact same spot. And the reason for doing that is so that way I can put some hot glue and glue everything down in place. And now take the hot glue and put some hot glue underneath the birch bark. And as you can see, I'm taking the hot glue and sticking it underneath the tube, so that way I can squirt in a generous amount of hot glue, so that way it can allow the birch bark to glue into place. Filling the inside up just a little bit, since I can't get the glue gun inside the tube. The only way to access it is from underneath. And there, as you can see, all 3 tubes are now glued into place. The LEDs are now inside the tubes, and now when they turn on, it's going to glow and look amazing. Next, I'm going to take this burlap rope, and I want to use this to hang up these lights. I'm going to show you a simple technique to find the middle of the string. Take the 2 ends, line them up together, place your finger inside the loop, and touch the end, and there, that's the center of the string. This part right here is where I'm going to take the permanent marker to mark the middle. And I'm going to place it right here. That's where the middle is going to go. Take the string and put it exactly in the middle, just like this. Take some hot glue and glue the string into place. Repeat the same process with the second string. Whoops, I accidentally made a hole inside the birch bark, which means the LED light will escape. So I'm going to take some extra birch bark and cover it. It's very simple. Cut off a small piece and take some hot glue and glue it into place, and just simply patch the hole with a birch bark. Next, what I'm going to do is take the string, pull it tight, make sure it's perfectly centered, tie it, and pull it as hard as I can, and there, it's now staying in place. What I need to do is make a square knot. Pull it as hard as I can so that way it stays in nice and secure. And there, the square knot is now strong. And now with right here, you have multiple options. You could take these and either tie them into a loop and it stays as a permanent loop, and you put something through here, or a hook. Have a hook where it hooks onto here, or you have the option where you have it loose like this, and then you can tie it onto something and it stays. And there we go. As you can see, it is hanging up perfectly. What I've done right here to attach to these ropes, I have some S hooks that I made out of a coat hanger. But as you can see, it hangs up nice. Right here, this 12-volt power supply, and I can go ahead and plug it in. And there, as you can see, this works very well in the dark, and what's good about this is that it's not too bright. It's just bright enough to be relaxing and to make it look a little bit more natural and more mysterious looking. And of course, with my favorite feature, pulling the plug and using the battery power, the lights stay on, and they stay on uninterrupted. And as you can see, they stay just as bright. And there you have it. Now you know how to make your very own LED light with using mostly natural materials. Thank you for watching SciTech. I hope you learned something new, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and of course click on the bell icon to be notified for future SciTech videos. Till the next tech, goodbye.